Here's another question from the Masculine Soul Conference in terms of questions that people emailed in. And here's an interesting one. It says, does the prophet, priest, and king paradigm only apply to men? If so, how? So here's the question again. Does the prophet, priest, king paradigm only apply to men? If so, how? In order to answer this question, let me roll back in history a little bit. The prophet-priest paradigm came from a guy by the name of John Calvin, who existed hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Phenomenal theologian, very imperfect, but still has a wide influence throughout the evangelical world, even today. When he was trying to grasp in a concise fashion his understanding of God's redemptive plan, he saw this theme of Jesus operating in the offices of prophet, priest, and king. And especially comes from the Old Testament, because those are what you would call the prominent offices that you see in the Old Testament. The prophet who would speak for God, from God, and then priest who served as a go-between between God and the people, who offer sacrifices, who would offer up prayers, who would teach, and then king, and who we know of, for instance, famous King David, or maybe you've heard of King Saul in the Old Testament, who provided overall rule, derivative authority from God ultimately, but they provided rule and leadership over the Israelites. And so therefore, as John Calvin put that together, he saw this theme of how Jesus functioned as a prophet, he functioned as a priest, and he functions as a king. And so therefore, how would I answer the question? Is the prophet-priest paradigm only for men? No, not at all. Because we're all created, man and woman, we're all created in the image of God. We are all called to image Christ. We are all, according to Paul, being changed more and more from one degree of glory to another as we grow in our sanctification and we grow in our pursuit of Christ, conformity to Christ. And so therefore, it's for all followers of Christ. Now, how does a lady play out and function in being a prophet and priest and king, or if you want to say queen? I don't know how you would want to verbalize that. That probably will look different than it would for a guy. And I don't know if I could speak to that for obvious reasons. And so no, I don't feel like it's just for men, but it does provide certain ways of understanding and function that I would argue that are very easily comported to guys.